If you notice on your table, there's some pieces of paper there, labeled Bollore Team and Bollore Client. So what we've done is we've done as well as we could this last 50 years. Now I want you to pick out the one that applies to you. There are pens on the table, and tell us what you'd like Bollore to do for you as a team member or as a client in the next 50 years. I'm going to be sampling some of those later. Don't forget, we've got a nice commemorative photo booth there, the one in green. Make sure you take away your pictures as you go. But to get things started, I want to say welcome to a man who's been in the middle of the action for a long, long time. The CEO, East African region for Bollore Transport and, of course, Logistics, Jason Reynard.
So good evening, everybody. Nice to see you all here. Ministers, High Commissioners, Ambassadors, all due protocols observed if I've missed anybody out. So thank you for joining us tonight to celebrate our little 50th birthday party. I'm especially pleased and proud to have our President of Bollore Transport and Logistics, Mr. Cyril Bollore, with us, and our senior management team from Paris and across the whole of the region. And tonight is a celebration for us because we've spent the day in what we call a quarterly business review, which we call the reign of terror, basically. So, my speech is very short, So I'd just like to sort of share with you 1968. What a year. A very interesting and exciting year. Apollo 8 was the first manned spacecraft to orbit the moon. Boeing introduced its first 747 jumbo jet. Martin Luther King and Robert F. Kennedy were assassinated, and Andrew Warhol survived an assassination attempt. The Beatles reached #1 in the charts with Hey Jude. The Kenyan president was Jomo Kenyatta. The French president was Charles de Gaulle. Kenya competed in the 1968 Summer Olympic Games in Mexico City with 39 competitors. They competed in 22 events, in 4 sports, and won 3 gold medals, 4 silver and 2 bronze. ISO 668 was introduced in 1968, which was the standardization and classification of shipping containers, dimensions and weights, and the TU was born. A tarmacked Mombasa-Nairobi road was opened, and Bollore opened its doors for business under the brand Transintra. And finally, on the 28th of August, I was born. So, without further ado, please let me hand over to the man who joined the Bollore Group when I was 16 years old and still at school, Tony Stenning.
Cabinet Secretary, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to be here to celebrate 50 years of Bollore's presence in Kenya. Believe it or not, I arrived here at the age of 27, and in my wildest dreams, I could not imagine that I would still be involved with the company 35 years later. I've been asked to say a few things from a historical perspective. This also means that my speech can be somewhat personal. Kenya is where my 5 children grew up. It is a country that I feel deeply connected to. In recent years, I have built my house in Nairobi, gained Kenyan citizenship, and are perfect in Swahili. My career with the group started on the 4th floor of Campus Towers in central Nairobi. We had 6 staff in the office, 2 outside lines with these type of phones, and 1 telex machine. The formation of Transami had just happened a few months before I arrived, with the merger between Transintra and AMI. There was only one problem. In fact, there was one of many problems, was that nobody knew the name. The only solution was to walk the streets, knock on the doors, and beg the potential clients to give us a go. It worked slowly, and business started to move in the right direction. In those happy days, budgets, monthly results did not feature, just survival. Then the big investment started in 1986, firstly with the building of the Mombasa base, and in 1989 and in 1990 with the Nairobi base, which we are in today. In 1989, I was involved in the purchase of our first trucks, 22 old Leyland land trains. They had just returned from Ethiopia, working for Live Aid. For the people that are old enough, you remember Bob Geldorf, Live Aid, food, famine, all that sort of thing. So we bought these 22 old trucks. They were not super fast, I can tell you. But they put us on the transport map to Uganda. By some luck, I was nominated as the managing director in May 1997, when Bollore took an active shareholding in Transami. My first CFO, who by some chance is here tonight, by the name of Sebastian Burke. So I'm very happy to see you, Sebastian, if you're here still. Sebastian? What I can tell you, he was obviously younger, okay? He was obviously thinner. But one thing never changed, his timekeeping was terrible. As Sebastian will remember, these were exciting, if slightly chaotic days. The whole business was now being set on a more professional basis, and those happy days without budgets and etc. disappeared forever. My French boss at the time, my first French boss, was a gentleman called Mr. Bernard Martineau, who I became very fond of, actually. He would religiously ring me between 8 and 8:30 every morning, without fail. Firstly to say, "Bonjour, Tony," What's the news? I don't know, I didn't have it news every day, but what's the news and how's the gross margin? I remember that important lesson in the years ahead. During this period, we merged with Notco, a SCAT company already here, which added to our strength and reputation in Kenya. It is a special pleasure tonight that Auni, who joined Notco and made a significant contribution to the organization over the years, is still with us, having served both Notco and Bollore for 43 years. As we say, man and boy, thank you, Auni. Remaining humble, I would say that the business started to really take off at this point. And I was supported by an excellent team. Young Mr. Reynard was one of them, by the way, and a strong investment culture. TransAmi became dominant in the logistics business within Kenya and in fact the region. And this makes me very, very proud indeed. The names also developed over the years. TransAmi, SDV TransAmi, SDV, Bollore Africa Logistics, and finally Bollore Transport and Logistics. This is now a global name, and we are very proud that Mr. Cyril Bollore is with us tonight as our honored guest, representing this very, very special French family business with a very strong commitment to Africa. The group, as well as Kenya, has made a significant impact on my life. The friendships, the customers, the loyal Kenyan staff, the list is too long to mention. We have faced many storms, and indeed the future holds many challenges. We will overcome, we will go forward, we will succeed. Tonight is your night. It should be a night of great celebration, and a sincere thank you to you, Jason, for organizing this wonderful event, and to your team. Thank you very much indeed. And on that note, gives me great pleasure to introduce the Cabinet Secretary for Transport, James Mutaria. Thank you very much.
Mr. Cyril Bollore, President and CEO, Bollore Transport and Logistics. Mr. Tony Stenning, CEO East Africa and Southern Africa. Mr. Jason Leonard, CEO East Africa. Colleagues from government, Excellencies, ambassadors, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Let me say today was a bit rough day for us in government. It's been a rough week, as always. But then I reasoned and said that this is an event I cannot miss because I said if Cyril could fly all the way from France and my office is down the road, I would have no excuse not to come here. Number two, Bollore has been a key partner of government. Since I joined this ministry, we've seen a lot of good results. And Bollore was asking me, what are the bad things should I tell him? And I told him I really had to scratch my head to get one because the team has been fantastic in this country. And so I'm delighted this evening to officiate this important event, marking the 50th anniversary of Bollore Transport and Logistics presence in Kenya. At the onset, I wish to thank the President and the directors of Bollore for inviting me to grace this auspicious occasion. I'm informed that the company was established way back in 1968 as a customs agent and transit freight forwarder. 50 years down the line, the company has grown to be one of the leading transport and logistics company in Kenya, handling an average of 40,000 TEUs and 30,000 unique shipments annually. I'm also aware that the company has contributed immensely to developing the transport and logistics industry in Kenya and closely collaborating with key industry regulators who include Kenya Revenue Authority, Kenya Railway Corporation, and the MD is here, and Kenya Ports Authority. My ministry, and indeed the government of Kenya, is committed to ensuring that the private sector players thrive through provision of adequate infrastructure and business-friendly legal framework. As you are already aware, the government, through the Ministry of Transport, Infrastructure, Public Works, Housing and Urban Development, and our partners have already completed the first phase of the standard gauge railway from Mombasa to Nairobi. The second phase is underway from Nairobi to Naivasha, as we work towards the final phase that you see the SGR reach Malamba and beyond. And let me say that I know Bollore has been very much on the transport logistics by road, but they've been our partner even in terms of making sure the SGR is successful. We launched the freight operations in January this year. In the first week of this year, with a meeting with Jason and his team, just to show that they were ready to support us from the day one of our operations. And through their support, we have achieved immense successes beyond expectation. Let me tell you, when we had a meeting in December, chaired by the President, to plan how we shall launch the first train in January, there were a lot of doubting Thomases who never thought that the SGR would take off. But we committed that every month we shall be adding an extra train from Mombasa to Nairobi. And that has happened. Because as of now, we do have 6 trains running from Mombasa to Nairobi. I remember the team actually did commit that at one point, they may even have a dedicated train for Bollore coming from Mombasa to Nairobi. Appreciation from government, kindly accept our kind appreciation. Let me just say that the future is bright because the momentum we created in the first 6 months, we intend to sustain that. We have committed, like I told you, that every month we shall be adding an extra train, which will bring us to 12 trains by December this year. And we shall reach full capacity of the train by December next year. Full capacity will be 18 trains either way, from Nairobi to Mombasa and vice versa, thanks to the partnership of the likes of Bollore Logistics. But for the truckers, let me also tell them there's business for you as well. Because at full capacity, 18 trains either way, that will be 14 million tons per year, which is half of the tonnage which comes through the port of Mombasa. And so, if we take 14 million tons, there will still be 14 million tons to be taken by the truckers. So nobody should feel threatened in terms of survival. And so, ladies and gentlemen, the launch of the Public-Private Partnership Disclosure Portal yesterday by the Cabinet Secretary of National Treasury is yet another milestone in government commitment to working transparently and creating an enabling business environment for the private sector and ensure provision of services and livelihood to the Kenyan people. The framework provides a systematic structure of close collaboration and adoption of globally acceptable best practices of PPPs. These are just a few of the government's initiatives that are aimed at encouraging foreign and local investors to put their resources in key projects and programs in line with Kenya's National Vision 2030. And so, ladies and gentlemen, as I conclude, let me assure you, Mr. President Cyril Bollore, of my ministry's support to Bollore in your endeavors to expand your business that contributes significantly to our revenues as a country. You have in the past provided logistical support to infrastructure development in energy and power generation, oil and gas, as well as manufacturing sector. We encourage you to expand further in the region as we expand roads, rail, and air infrastructure beyond our borders. And once again, I would like just to emphasize that the prospects for the future are very bright. What you've been doing is servicing the northern corridor, which comes from Mombasa, Nairobi, Kisumu, and the west. That is what has been called Northern Corridor, which is our traditional corridor. We have another corridor which we are developing, and that's a corridor for the future, what we call Lapset Corridor, which comes from Lamu Port to Isiolo. One branch goes towards Moyale, Ethiopia. The other branch goes towards Sudan, Southern Sudan, Nakadok. And that is a corridor for the future. That's a corridor which will be carrying the oil of this country. That's a corridor which will be having resource cities. And so you can be sure that the future of this country is very bright in terms of transport and logistics. Once again, congratulations for your marvelous performance and for reaching this magical age of 50. Asante sana.
Thank you very much, Cabinet Secretary. That was a very nice speech. If I could kindly ask our President of Bollore Transport and Logistics to come and address you. Thank you very much.
Dear authorities, dear customers, dear partners, dear management, you can't imagine how happy I am to be here. As Jason mentioned, he says a quarterly business review is a reign of terrors. That's because a lot of people from France of headquarters arrive speaking French, and we know we have a terrific English, so please accept my apologies. I try to do my best. Like that, it would be good. No, it's a big pressure because, speaking about Tony, we spent all his career developing these amazing activities here. Jason, who knows Kenya by heart, who has traveled in the whole Africa all his life, developing transport and logistics. I'm very happy to be here. We spent this whole day doing this business review. I knew a lot of Kenya before doing, but what I see here, I have to tell you, I'm very proud. I'm proud of everything which has been done by authorities with amazing infrastructures. It has been described, Mr. Cabinet Secretary. I'm very proud, especially about the team. Because as you said, we've invested a lot of money in order to develop these infrastructures. But if you have only money and you don't have the power, the man and the woman who develops that every day, you have nothing. So I have to say I'm very proud of the team that I've seen all the day long. And it's thanks to all the people which are in this room that we are able to celebrate the 50th anniversary here. Thank you all to be here. And thank you for all the work you've done in order to develop your proper company, the interest of authorities, and the interest of all companies in Kenya. Maybe a few words. I don't want to be long after 3 speeches, but I just wanted to give a bit an overview of what the Bollore Group is on today. I want to tell before that 50 years is a lot, but Bollore Group is still a family group since 196 years. We've celebrated last February, this last anniversary. Our actual CEO, Mr. Vincent Bollore, is the 6th generation of this company, and I represent in front of you the 7th generation of this company. We still have 64% of the shares of our capital of our group, so it gives us pros and cons. It gives us the advantages to have long-term commitment, long-term return investments, but we have to go step by step. It's the cons which can happen. In 1822, we've begun in Brittany, western of France, producing papers for cigarettes in order to roll cigarettes. So as you can see, it has changed a lot until 36 years ago, because in 196 years of living company, you have good moments and very bad moments. It's like in family, we are only in one job, and 36 years ago, the company with 300 employees was almost in bankrupt, with a lot of debts, and we were not managing to send and to sell anymore this paper for cigarettes with good price or having margins. I'm sure in a lot of jobs, that's what we encounter every day. And as you can see, we have to adapt. My father arrived at this moment 36 years ago, and he developed a lot. We have decided to adapt ourselves, because at the time we were producing papers with the strength of the sea, you know, of the le fleuve, je ne sais pas comment dire en anglais, of the river, you know, called Ode in Brittany, and arrived electricity a bit later. So we had to adapt ourselves and move from the manufactory we had since 160 years, and that's what allowed us to restore our margin, to be competitive and to enter this new world and this new competitor from all over the world. That's what we have done for several years, and reinvesting it, all the money that we've won with this company, we have decided, as we have known like a lot of good moments and bad moments, as I said, to diversify ourselves. It has changed a lot now. The image of the Bollore Group, as you know, has diversified in transport and logistics. That's the reason we are here today. We are now a company which is listed in the French market. We represent a turnover of 18 billion euros, actually, in 2017. We are based on three main pillars. The transport and logistics that you know. It's almost 40,000 people around the globe in more than 100 countries. As you know, probably, we operate a port concession, 18 in Africa, 3 outside Africa, and we still expand and develop new concession, 18 mostly in Western Africa for the moment, but when an opening will come, we will be happy to be here to try to operate the port, of course. We have been as well in India, in Timor soon, East Timor, and we've begun in Haiti not long ago in order to expand outside in Africa, taking this expertise that we've developed in the past 50 years. We developed as well like freight forwarding, as you know, by sea, by air. It's more than 20,000 people around the world, like almost 10,000 in Africa. We are 24,000 people on this 80,000 of the group, which are present in Africa. We have believed in Africa a long time ago when no one was believing in the dynamism of this continent. And as you know today, everybody wants to go to Africa. So they say you have the best network, you are everywhere. But at the time, no one wanted to come. Now we know we have a lot of competitors. We are very happy. And I think we have developed this strong expertise, and we can do partnership and adapt ourselves. We have to do the same in this new world that arrives in the same than for paper for cigarettes. The third activity in transport and logistics is railways concession. We don't operate this one, which is very well operated, but we are in the Western Africa, in Ivory Coast, and on Cameroon for the moment. And we've developed as well like logistics, oil logistics, like tanks, operate pipeline in France, and we are distributing petroleum products in France. I'm very proud because I'm in charge of this whole branch, Bollore Transport and Logistics, and we've merged 3 or 4 years ago all these entities which were with the same DNA, but people didn't know each other, and we have the chance to gather and to be all reunified together. And I have to say I'm very proud of what you have all accomplished, because as you know, I'm not 50 years old. So you know, what has been accomplished is not only by me. I only have done 12 years in the group. That's why I thank again everyone in this room. You can applaud yourself, I think, because you deserve it, and it's not easy. That was the first pillar. I will be quicker for the next two ones. Now, the second pillar is very important. We've developed and diversified 11 years ago with our success, and we've invested a lot in media and advertising company. We own now 22% of a company in France called Vivendi, which owns a lot of different companies in advertising and media. We own 100% of Universal Music, which owns almost 50% of the rights of the singer on the planet. And you touch a fee, you earn a fee every time you hear a song on the radio, which is in the catalog. We have the Beatles. You have stated the Beatles, you know. We have the Beatles. And just for the anecdote, 68 is an important date. In France, it was one of the biggest strikes ever that we've known. And we are not far from here in France, actually. So it has not changed as Kenya, which has developed a lot. It was just for the joke. No, so we are in music. We are present in paying TV channels through Canal+, which is present in France and Africa. We are present in telecommunication with Telecom Italia, 24% of the shares of Telecom Italia, present of the video games editing, and try to develop the strategy, developing contents in order to have more subscribers on telco, on our TV paying channel, because that's the war which has begun in the whole world. You want to subscribe to TV or subscribe to your pay telephone because you have the new TV shows which has been released, or because you have the last rights for the football or soccer rights, for example, teams or the championship. That was the second activity. It's quite new for us. It's a lot of money as well. We've invested 3 billion euros in Africa in order to develop our position now. We've invested 5 billion in this company in order to develop music advertising company. We have reinvested all our profits since more than 30 years in order to develop and being able to accompany all the customers which are here in the new challenges which we are going to encounter in the next years and we have passed through in the past 30 years. The third job we've developed is not profitable for the moment, but we have a lot of hope. We've invested a lot since more than 30 years in the storage of electricity. We've done a technological bet, developing a battery on a technology called lithium metal polymer, which is a competitor of what you have lithium-ion in your iPhone, on your Samsung, on your Huawei, on all the mobile phone or laptops. And we think we have two advantages compared to this lithium-based as well technology. We don't have overheating effect, which is really a good point, especially for Africa. And our battery lasts longer without memory effect. It means when you have a new mobile phone, it's written 100%, you have 4 hours telecommunication. And when you've charged it every night for 2 years, 700 times approximately, you've lost, even if it's written 100% of capacity, you only have 2 hours telecommunication. That's what we call the memory effect we don't have in our technology. And the third major advantage we have no cobalt. And in a moment where everybody speaks about the difficulty to find cobalt, the cobalt price will rise a lot, and it's going to be difficult to have a lot of electric cars on the planet, I can say we have a technology which can solve this problem. That's why we have developed electric cars in Paris, in Bordeaux, in Los Angeles, in Singapore, which are working very well, and we've developed what we call storage of electricity. It means we connect the solar panels on the windmills to a lot of battery which are able to store electricity and use it when you need to use it, because generally speaking, solar panels work when you have sun, and you use electricity on the morning when it's night and when you come back on the night. So people realize now that they are going to need a lot of storage. I just wanted to give you an overview of all this job. I know it's long, but I think we are very proud of everything we have achieved now. And the only word I want to say is, once again, without all the people in this room concerning Kenya, we wouldn't have been able to do anything, and it's the same in the whole world. If we have such a position now, that's because we had the courage to stay, to make partnership, once again, to adapt ourselves, and we have to do it again and still invest on the continent, particularly in Kenya, where I said I discovered amazing infrastructures, amazing partners, authorities, management, and we are very proud. I know we are very under attack in France at the moment, because with all the assets we've developed, I just talked, a lot of people are very jealous. So, you know, they try to destabilize us in order to take our position. That's what I have to say. We have to stay strong. We have nothing to fear, because everything we do, I'm proud about. I'm very proud of everything that I do, and I wanted to thank you all. We are going to continue in this direction in order to celebrate the 100 years presence in Kenya. I hope I will be here. It's possible, you know. Some of you, I hope, will be here and will go with this group. We want to make you proud of the name we are developing. That's why we have named and reunify everyone under the name and the brand Bollore Transport and Logistics. I won't be longer, because if not, I can spend the night talking about a lot of subjects, and I know, as everyone, you want to have a drink. I just want to wish you an amazing night. Thank you again to have honored us by your presence. It will stay in our heart, especially in mine, and I'm happy to see you very soon. Thank you very much.
I'm just going through the list of some of our partners here. Kenya Railways, Waziri, like you said, thank you, the CEO is here. What your partnership with Kenya Railways has done is immense, with SGR coming along and the knock-on effect on jobs and affecting lives and lowering transport costs, even for local Mwananchi. Your partnership has done a lot more. I'm looking at Sonico, thank you so much. Airtel Kenya, we all know what they do. Huawei, Farmers Choice, distributors, outlets, supermarkets, the jobs they create. I'm looking at EABL. EABL, it's not just in Kenya, it's in the entire region, thanks to your partnership. Not just for jobs in the factories and in outlets, also for opportunities for brand ambassadors, like I'm one of them. So Jason and Tony, and of course Cyril, thank you so much for playing your part in making me an ambassador of Johnny Walker. I'll send you a couple of bottles to your office. So it's a human thing. The human footprint of Bollore can be felt all over the continent, and you need to be proud of that. And that's why we're saying thank you so much for your partnerships. Many more are coming. And of course, we're only going to get better and stronger. Like you said at Citibank, we consider ourselves as part of the Bollore family. Congratulations for 50. Thanks a lot, Citibank. Asante sana. To Mask Kenya, saying to grow together in East Africa as partners, let's focus on the customer. That's great feedback. Keep them coming in the time capsules. Every opinion is going to be taken on board. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for us to have the main birthday celebrations. If I could please have Mr. Cyril Bollore on stage. Jérôme Petit, if you can please come on stage. Stanislas de Saint-Louvon, if you can please come on stage. Philippe Balzing, please make your way here. Sebastian Bach. Tony? Yeah, come on board. Of course, Jason, we need you here. And Jean-Pascal Nod, if you can please come on stage, because it's time for us to really toast to the 50-year-old baby. All right, ladies and gentlemen, please top up on your glass, because now this is the moment I need you more than ever. I need us to clear our throats and sing happy birthday to this amazing partnership that you've created. So on 3, 2, 1, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Bollore. Happy birthday to you. Hip hip. Hooray. Hip hip. Hooray. Hip hip. Hooray. Happy birthday, Bollore.
Yes, thank you.
Absolutely. Happy birthday to you. And there we go.
Lately I've been feeling kinda blue, and lately my rhythm is lacking blues, and my hip ain't got no hop. My moonwalk misses that pop. I go up and then I drop. The things I do seem to flop, but it's okay, 'cause life is way too short.
Thank you so much. And I want to thank everyone who made today possible, because without you, we would not have done it, without a doubt. So allow me to thank all of you for attending and making time for us. I'd like to thank Denise Reynard for all the beautiful cupcakes, which you're going to get just now. Chris Bitok and the Limericks, thank you so much for the music. You guys are unbelievable. Nothing like a good tune. Winnie Carano and Mary Kaleche from Bollore, Capital Club East Africa, the in-house organizing team Asante Sana, and of course the source event planners who put all this together. No wonder Bollore trusts them year in, year out. Thanks so much for coming, ladies and gentlemen. Enjoy the rest of your evening and good night.
Sidule fasi, ari meka mabutu, hari rutinura na baruna. Chuchugili sedi, ila sedi la chaba, hari City.